Malcolm Little was born May 19, 1925 in Nebraska. His mother, Lois Little, was a homemaker who had to look after 8 children. His father, Earl Little, was a Baptist minister and was an avid supporter of nationalist leader Marcus Garvey. In 1931, Malcolm Little's father's body was found lying across the town's trolley tracks. Malcolm Little graduated from junior high at the top of his class, despite one of Malcolm's favorite teachers told him, and I quote, "the dream of becoming a lawyer with no realistic goal for a nigger." Malcolm lost his interest in school after that encounter and situation. Soon, Malcolm dropped out of school and traveled to Harlem, New York, where he committed small crimes, and by 1942 he was experimenting with various narcotics, prostitution, and gambling rings. By 1946, he was arrested alongside his good friend, Malcolm Jarvis, who were convicted on burglary charges, and Malcolm Little was sentenced to 10 years in prison. After Malcolm's release from prison, he began to study NOI, Nation of Islam, and the leader Elijah Muhammad, who taught white society actively worked to keep African Americans from empowering themselves and achieving political success. By 1952, Malcolm Little was a devoted follower of the NOI by changing his last name to X. He considered Little as a slave name. Soon, Malcolm was appointed a minister and a national speaker for the Nation of Islam. Malcolm's charisma, drive, and conviction attracted a great number of members. Malcolm was greatly credited with the increasing membership in the NOI from 500 to 30,000 in the time period from 1952 to 1963, which is over 11-year span. The crowd surrounding Malcolm made him an instant media magnet. Racial tensions arose greatly in the 1960s, and Malcolm soon caught the attention of the government because of his emergence as one of the NOI's most important leaders. As the NOI's name expanded, FBI agents infiltrated the organization, and one even acted as Malcolm's bodyguard, planting bugs, cameras, and wiretaps to monitor the group's activities. Since joining the NOI, Malcolm had strictly adhered to the teachings of Muhammad, which included remaining married to his wife Betty Shabazz. Malcolm was criticized for a comment made about the assassination of JFK, saying that Kennedy never foresaw the chickens would come home to roost so soon, meaning that he never knew that he would become assassinated. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X both grew up in different environments. Martin grew up in a middle-class family, while Malcolm grew up in an underprivileged home. Malcolm was self-taught, and Martin grew up in a well-known name for his family. Overall, Martin Luther King believed that nonviolence was the key to combine whites and blacks. And on the other hand, Malcolm was the opposite, where he supported militancy where force was necessary to make things happen. But X and King both spread their message through powerful and hard-hitting speeches, but their intentions were delivered in different styles and purposes, but for the same reason. At a speaking engagement in the Manhattan's Ballroom on February 21st, 1965, 3 gunmen rushed Malcolm on stage. The assassins shot Malcolm 15 times at close range. Malcolm was pronounced dead on the arrival at New York's Columbia Hospital. Malcolm's assassins, Hayer, Butler, and Johnson, were convicted of first-degree murder in March 1966. The 3 men were all members of the NOI. The legacy of Malcolm X was moved through generations as a subject of numerous documentaries, books, and movies. A tremendous resurgence of interest occurred in 1992 when director Spike Lee released the acclaimed movie Malcolm X. The film received Oscar nominations for Best Actor and Best Costume Design. Malcolm X was buried at the Ferncliff Cemetery in Hartsdale, New York. That's what I had to research. Malcolm X. There we go. I like it. It's hot.